Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah.
How are two people still missing here? I was generally thinking that everyone is gonna be here. That's why I came 6 minutes late, only to realize not everyone is here. But let's just start. I don't want to waste any more time. Alex, what was the time of the call that we finished with Jim?
No, so this was do you remember we finished the first call? Do you remember I told you I have a follow-up with him? So this is the
Is Jim the guy with 2 billion under his management previously, or was it the one that apologized for you for having 4 kids?
The guy with 2 billion previously, the old dude.
Okay.
So I had a follow-up call with him 2 days ago.
Oh, so that's the follow-up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It makes sense.
So I had the presentation basically.
All right.
Hello, Jim.
You can skip a bit because his mic wasn't working. So when he switches to his laptop.
Remember from last time to see
How the fuck does he look worse than by the first call you had? And apparently by the first call he was sick.
I don't think he was sick. I
No,
don't
he said
remember
he
him
was.
being. Huh. Fair.
Oh no, sorry. Because of his age, I assumed that it was a roller behind him, but it was actually a lamp. Never mind, that was my mistake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep. There we go.
How's that now?
Amazing. Perfect. How are you today?
You hear me?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
There we go. Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
So how are you today?
I'm well, and you? Sorry for the delay.
No worries. It's 4 minutes. All good here. Look, let me just quickly summarize what I still remember from last time to see where we stopped.
Sure.
Right? If I remember correctly, you were a planner for 46 years, right?
Yes.
You used to have 2 billion AUM when you were an institutional investor, right? Now you're down to 30 million with 35 clients. You have a 25-year-old who you're mentoring, who helps you with the workload. On top of that, you have your daughter helping you with sales and marketing. We talked also a bunch about your model. And
by the way, guys, if you want to come across as more competent, don't look at the piece of paper while you are saying this. Try to look into his face so it comes across as if this will come out of your memory.
From what I remember, you're not at maximum capacity and you want to have roughly 75 accounts. So you want a rough, okay. Now I do still have some clarifying question if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
So for one, you mentioned Apex as Apex acquisition. You mentioned something along the lines of 40 guaranteed booked meetings. Now I wanted to clarify if that was per month or per year, because per year it's not that much, and per month it sounds unrealistic. So I wanted to go deeper into Apex. If that's okay.
So it's in between there. So Apex is an outfit that guarantees 40 guaranteed meetings over a 4-month period of time. So roughly 10 meetings per month.
Okay, and when it comes to qualification, what are the qualification steps? Because if I'm not mistaken, last time you have mentioned something about 1 million. Am I correct to say that, or what was it exactly? I really hope you said that.
And it's a 4-month contract. My CEO basically is paying for the front end setup, which is about $28,000 for 5 or 6 of us. And then I pay the ad spend for my particular thing, which is about $3,000 a month. And their ad spend is primarily on some of the more secondary channels like Yahoo Finance. They stay away from Facebook and LinkedIn.
How come?
My connection's
said,
gonna cut
how
soon
come?
for a bit
You
because I'm
mean
border.
you driving, or do you mean in the call? Yeah, I assume him driving.
So
They stay away
can
from Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
cut for a few minutes.
No, but why? Do they have any particular reason?
Their thought process is that those channels are more competitive, they're more expensive, and they feel like they are there's better opportunities in the secondary channels in gaining people. So the whole Apex process is they engage with prospects on an educational journey that culminates with that prospect watching something along a 25 to 35-minute consultative thing from Apex. And once they have completed that, then they are eligible to ask to be matched. And it's a single match. It's not some of these things, match them with 3 advisors or something like that. It's a single match. So,
I mean, I do see the reasoning behind, obviously they want to qualify the leads, they want to filter out the time wasters.
sure.
At the
They
same
get
time, it
buy-in.
seems a bit overkill, in my opinion. Like,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
people
I
do
agree.
lose interest, right? There is better ways to do this, from how it seems
Yeah.
to me. Because we qualify as well, but then if every
Alex, at
prospect
the
we
end of the
have,
day, I kind of I agree with you. I don't have a concern on it as long as they provide their 40 appointments. If they have to go through 200 people to get 40 or whatever as a result of the difficult front end for people, that's their business model, not mine. So
fair.
Alex is not here, so I'm going to refer to you, Muzni, and to you, Tommy. At this point, Alex is retarded because he has still not clarified what qualification means. And based on what the prospect said on the last call, they are going to bring 40 guaranteed appointments of qualified people, and qualified, or at least what he said on the last call, meant that they're going to have a budget of 1 million that they can put into financing, because his niche is financial planners. So people who are, for example, managing your funds and then putting everything together in order to, just for example, let's say trade stocks. So you can get, let's say, the division of, let's say, 3 or 5% every year paid out to you, something like that. Which I told Alex that he's retarded because he didn't dive deeper into it. And let me ask you this, guys, so you can agree or disagree. Is it realistic that someone guarantees you 40 appointments, basically meaning that they're going to bring you people with 40 million willing to invest in you?
Probably not.
Like, if you can find a company that does that, please feel free to let me know. I'm going to give you a cut of every single close I will make. Because that's not fucking realistic.
But I agree with you.
Little question for you. How long have you been working with Apex? Because if I remember correctly, it was in the beginning stages.
Oh yeah, it hadn't even started yet. So basically this idea was floated. They contacted me at a prior firm. They contacted me last year in August to take this on individually, and I was not interested. And then they contacted my CEO, and my CEO was willing to pay the front end, which was it was offered to me at $14,000 front end plus the ad spend. And
if someone brings you 40 million, even in a span of 4 months, and makes you pay what, 40,000? No, sorry, he's 13. Is that realistic? Yeah.
I said no thanks. They show a decent track record for what it's worth. I did speak with a couple of their users. And they said that it worked very well for them, but I wasn't interested at those levels. And then they convinced my CEO that, look, we'll do this for a group of your folks, And so he said, all right, we'll earmark, if we can get 5 or 6 folks willing to pay $3,000 a month for 4 months. So my investment into it is $12,000 over a 4-month period of time, that he will pay the front end. And they worked out a deal there that for 5 of us, I think it's $28,000 that he is spending. So it has not gotten off the ground. And frankly, it's been all over the place. The CEO said, you know, personality is a CEO sometimes. Says, okay, I'll pay $400,000 and I'll do this for 50 or 75 people, if you guys have this amount of buy-in. And frankly, there wasn't enough buy-in from enough people that he said, okay, right. The original 5 that said they would do this. So this is supposed to kick off sometime, potentially the last week of March, first week of April.
Right. So you mentioned that initially Apex came to you for your own clients, and then when you said no, they went to the CEO, etc. Is there any particular reason why you refused to work with them?
I wasn't willing to take that much of a $26,000 gamble on this at the time. My own business was very robust in the first year with this firm. So, you know, we were fine. And, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, I want to grow my business. There's no doubt I want to grow my business. I have some certain numbers in mind, but candidly, I'm 71 years old and I'm happy working at what I'm doing while I'm waiting for that business to grow. So I'm not near as aggressive in my growth desires, I guess, probably as a lot of people you talk to.
Right. However, did the price also play a role in that? If you were, let's say, 50% of that, hypothetically, right, then would you be more inclined, or is there a different reason? Or you just plainly don't want to really over push yourself?
All of the above. I would say, look, my immediate goal is basically to get to somewhere around 50 million in assets, whether that is over the remainder of this year or 2 years is not particularly critical to me in terms of the speed of it. I just want to be able to handle the onboarding of additional clients at a rate. I have a thing. My clients are very sticky. I've had some of them that came over from the institutional side, so they're 30-year clients. So I like to be able to do things where I keep people for a long period of time. So
Stunned.
Alex, I don't know if you can hear me, but I see you back. You still don't know how much he's really making, because even in the last call, he mentioned to you, I think 3%, but he also mentioned 6 because of his team, if I'm not mistaken, if it's the same planner I'm thinking of. You still don't know how much he's making. He told you that he gets a cut of those 30 million, but you still don't know if it's monthly or if it's yearly. And that was a difference of 300,000 per month or 300,000 in a year.
Yeah, I asked and calculated a bit later.
Is it in this
So I
call?
figured out how. Yeah, I figured.
Okay. Okay, Alex cut off. Good to know.
If I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a big, so to say, accent for you in your business is the legacy of your model. So you want to preserve it, you want to educate people on it, and it's something you're proud of, and you want to share and present it in the light of its actual value. Is that about right?
yeah.
How do you, besides the email and the articles that your daughter writes, how do you make sure that the model is floating? Like that it's relevant and that people see its value?
That's a good question. I think if I have identified people correctly that their number one objective is income, then they want to produce income rates from primarily their SEP or their IRA or Roth, whatever it is, in numbers that are 2, 3, 4 times more than what they've been told they can get. So in U.S. Certified financial planner land, everybody is told a 4% income stream is a sustainable number. That number's vacillated between 3 and 4 over the years, and I want to shoot that number in the head, vis-a-vis the model, and produce numbers, well into the mid-teens. I mean, right now we're producing 24% a year, and that's my target. So I'm looking ultimately that has a tendency to put me with people that need to make smaller amounts of money produce bigger amounts of money, rather than people with bigger amounts of money produce bigger amounts of money. My clients have a tendency to fall around the 800 to a million now, but I had a lot of people with $200,000 and $300,000 that needed, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month in income, and I can do that with the model. And there were the real difference makers. And now, fortunately, through referrals or otherwise, I've got more people coming in that have $1 million, and quite candidly, they're not looking at taking out, as much money as they could. My $1 million account, can take $24,000 out a month. They're not. They're taking 12, 13, 14. So I'm making a big difference in their lives, but it's less of an impact than the original ones that I had kind of designed the model for.
Right.
So my relevance is just basically still talking with people that getting, a fairly large multiple of income relative to what they've been told or what they believe. That's the difference maker.
Yeah, I see. Did I ask you, out of this 2% a month, I'm assuming this is also the average since you mentioned sustainability, out of these 2% a month, what goes directly to you? Like what percentage goes to you? Or did you mean that maybe you make...
Finally, Alex asks a question that he should have asked on the last call.
You give them 2% of what they invest, and then whatever you make on top comes to you? Or how does that
Yeah,
work?
so actually the model is running right now a little bit below 5% a month in total income. We pay out 2%. We reinvest the rest. My fee portion of that, if they're a normal 1% fee, is, what is that, 0.083%, about per month. So 1% divided by 12. 8 basis points.
Wait, 1% divided by 12, why? I just don't understand. I didn't
My
understand where the number came from.
annual fee is 1%, and we charge it monthly.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Cool. So he makes yearly 300,000, and he makes per month, round up 20, 25.
25, yeah.
Okay. See, but that's something you could have clarified with one question on the last call. So you will have now saved yourself, 12 minutes of your life?
So basically,
Yeah, but also see, like, this part of the call
everything
is
else
just
goes
clarifying
into-
shit you told
back
me
into the
last
model.
time to clarify.
Yes, because you had a lot of things. Like, you have spoke with him, I don't know for how long, and you have not figured out nothing. So it's very important for you to now clarify it, so you can actually do something with it.
It's
Yes, I
reinvested right back
clarified
into
the money on the Apex.
Yeah.
the shares. Yeah. Because you don't, candidly, you do not get those levels of dividends. Again, no magic with a dividend. If it's a $10 stock and it pays $1 dividend, tomorrow it's a $9 stock with $1 in cash. So if you're paying out, 4 to 5% per month in dividends, the value of the shares is reduced by the amount of the dividend. And if you take all that money out, it's going to be hard for those shares to keep up with that pace. So by reinvesting and increasing the share quantity, we maintain the quality and the longevity of the model to continue to pay out that rate.
Understand. Okay. You mentioned that you don't really have a rush when it comes to getting to those 75 accounts. That's your goal. However,
Yeah.
Does it mean you would be opposed to speeding the process up, assuming that it's let's say a sure thing?
No, I mean, I've committed to do this Apex thing with my CEO, and that's going to be a 4-month run. And if in that 4-month run, my close rates are typically very high, we'll see if it's the same with this. But if I'm exposed to $40 million and I'm able to close $20 million of that in 4 months, I'm ecstatic. But if it if it was outside of that program or what otherwise, and I just did it organically over.
Honestly, at this point, you might just as well also ask him, okay, so just so I have the clarity, obviously I'm this call is mainly for me to show you what is it I'm actually doing. But then on the basis that you will like it, is this something you will want to move with today? So we can, for example, test 2 different programs at the same time. And in the worst case, you're just going to close more deals. Or do you currently only want to stay with Apex and actually test it? Because at the same time, there is literally no need for you to waste 1 hour of your and his time. Unless you want to try to do close or die, but
So
a
we
year or
ended
something
up,
like that, I would.
So we ended up doing the presentation, and him concerned about running 2 systems at the time was more of an objection that I was dealing with later, basically.
Okay, but then why is it problematic to run 2 things at the same time? Logically speaking, on the basis that you have 2 systems, in the worst case, you end up having a higher opportunity of closing people.
Yeah, that's what basically I was saying, but I just didn't mention it now.
Okay.
Anyways, should I have mentioned it like here? Like right at the
Yes.
moment? Okay,
Yes.
I see.
I'd still be very happy with that. So the Apex is an experiment. There's no doubt about it.
Right. No, but let's say the fact that you're trying the Apex for the moment, does that preclude you from implementing other systems as well?
It would depend on the amount of investment and whatnot. I might be a little gun shy because the one feedback I did get from some of the Apex users were that the pace that they delivered those meetings, 2 of them said, "Hey, listen, shut me down for a little bit and let me have a pause and hold off on those." So I don't know. In fairness to somebody like yourself who's offering some type of an alternative position, I can't answer that without all the information. But I don't know. So tell me what your approach would be, and I might be able to come up with more of a.
So look, I'm willing. I do know that I can help you out. No doubt in my mind after everything that I've learned about you and your business. I can definitely tell you I can help you. However, there's no point in me even wasting my time or your time showing you what I do if I don't know that if you see the value of it, it would be something that you would be willing to start. I get a lot of.
I understand.
I do it in 6 months, maybe I do it in a year situations. That makes sense?
Yes.
Now, if I need to know before.
No, this is the wrong way you formulate this. In this case, you don't want to say, yeah, I get a lot of people telling me, oh, I'm going to do it in 6 months or get back to me in 3 months, because what you're currently saying is, I have a lot of time wasters, so I really need to cut a deal. No, what you want to say is, look, I normally only work with people where they are not afraid of, for example, testing 2 systems, because yes, it may break your onboarding. Yes, it may just bring too much finances to your business, but at the same time, it will also allow you to scale very quickly. Independent, for example, let's say, focus ourselves on your scenario, yes, where you have Apex, where they may or may not deliver you 40 million, possible 40 million in 4 next months. But at the same time, when I work with people like you, very often they are not afraid to run 2 systems to maximize the ability to close, because you even yourself, you have said, my closing rate is pretty decent. I don't know how it's going to be with Apex. So I really hope I'm going to close maybe 50% of them. So will it not be beneficial to even increase the likelihood of closing people simply because of having more deals coming in?
Yeah, I see.
We go ahead and I show you what I do. I need to know
So
that
I
if
never
it's
want to
something.
say that I deal with time wasters.
Well, yes, because if you deal with time wasters, your time is not fucking important, isn't it?
Yeah, fair.
This is quite literally what you're telling me when you say you're dealing with a lot of time wasters. Because if you're doing business for long enough, you should be able to identify time wasters in 5 minutes.
Okay, so I just say it like I work with only people that are ready to do this and this and this.
Yeah,
Make him
but
feel
then
bad
also,
about not doing it.
yes, but then also put it in a manner that applies to a situation.
Okay. So with the 2 systems in this case, yeah.
Yes, because by the end of the day, quite literally, what is the worst case scenario of running 2 systems? Your system is just gonna break.
Yeah.
But from a business perspective, that's a pretty good fucking problem to have. Like, you know, as far as problems in life go, you can have a worse problem than that.
That interests you, something you believe in, that you would be willing to take that step. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So how do you want to proceed?
Oh boy, I don't want to leave you hanging, my friend. Maybe we table this and let me get a little bit into Apex and get my hands on it, and then I'll know whether or not what my bandwidth is for expanding into something else.
But what would be the downside of doing?
No, I absolutely get that. But at the same time, what if Apex will not work? Where are you gonna then be in 4 months?
Yeah.
So do you now get my perspective when I say to you there are people who are not afraid to run two systems because in the worst case they're gonna end up with too many appointments and too many closed deals, or there are people who are afraid of it and are not willing to take that? Because obviously I don't know, I've not spoken to previous clients of Apex, yes, but at the same time, if you're saying they may or may not deliver in 4 months, what the fuck is gonna happen if you may die in 4 months? So would you not prefer to increase the likelihood of it actually expanding and getting to those 50 millions? Yes, you said you don't have time pressure, absolutely fine. But with everything in life, you will prefer to have it rather sooner than later. Am I correct to say that?
Doing something else on top of Apex?
I don't know if I'll get overburdened with deal flow. I mean, again, because it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. I don't know what pace, how you approach, what your approach would be to adding, and I understand your reluctance to have further discussion. I truly appreciate that, but without knowing how and what pace, lead flow or growth or whatnot, it's. I don't like to make commitments blindly, then I go, oh well, I didn't realize it was that, you know.
All right, look, in that case, let's just let me show you my presentation. Let me show you.
No, that's absolutely fine, and I get where you're coming from. But at the same time, I need to be sure that it's even worth me walking you through everything, because I want to simply understand that, taking into consideration your experience and your age, that you're not afraid to scale up things too quickly. Just try to use it. What you currently did is you allowed him to take over the control of the call by just simply saying,
Well,
yeah, okay, that's fine, then let me just walk you through the presentation.
I thought a lot about mentioning his age, and but the best I could do at some point, I said that, like, you know, anything can happen, so why not know sooner or something like this, like one in objections.
No,
I can't just
but
be
then
like, you're old, what if you die tomorrow, you know, like.
No, okay, if you will have spoken to me, would you say to me confidently, look, but we don't know what's gonna happen in 4 months, you may die tomorrow? Yes or not? Yes.
Oh yeah.
So why the fuck do you have a hesitation to say it to someone who's 71, where he actually may die tomorrow?
Because he actually might die tomorrow, you know.
Yes, but at the same time, you may die right now while speaking to me, because you're gonna have a fucking car accident, because let's say a drunk driver is gonna drive in your car.
Yeah, fair.
Like, quite
But
literally.
okay. So I just don't need to mention his age. I just need to say this, like.
Yes.
Okay.
Just stop being a bitch.
Okay.
What exactly it is that I do, and then we
Okay.
can discuss and see how we could combine it with the work you do with Apex. How does it
Okay.
sound? Yeah.
Sure.
Let me just share my screen real quick. Tell me when you see it.
Okay, FinScribe's branded ROI.
So, what essentially we do is make financial planners the person that somebody thinks about whenever they are in the need for a financial planner, right? We do this combining two elements, branding and advertising. Now, there's a lot more elements to it. I'll go through it, but I'll basically just explain you process by process exactly why our system works and what exactly we do different. As you probably know, the marketing space is polluted with remixes of the same services, right? Everybody says they know what they're doing, but everybody at the end of the day does the same thing. If you find somebody who does what we do, I'll give you a fortune cookie. So these are
I
our
stole
main
your
pillars.
joke.
The financial planners we work with.
What?
I said I stole your joke with the fortune cookie.
Good. Very proud of you. Very proud of you. Alex, sometimes you're learning, but at the same time, sometimes you say some random dog shit.
get them an ROI of minimum return of 3x. Now, this is not just data based off of conjecture. This is purely based off of all the people I've worked with so far. So the return is never less than 3 times the amount of what they invested. On top of that, you get full brand identity, which is interesting specifically in your case, considering the value of your model. Because besides the fact that we can make the brand around you, which is what you usually do, we make you the brand instead of a company. Here, we can also do it about the model. So we can create a brand of the model. That way also, for example, when your 25-year-old student, if I can call him your student, decides to take over, or when you want to pass the book on to him, he won't have any trouble and he will also benefit from it, right? The 10x database basically means that you will get a huge database of leads, right? This just happens throughout the process, right? Now, exactly how we do it is called something. What that basically means is that we strengthen your brand specifically in a specific region. Now, the region can differ. For some people, it's a city. For some people, it's a state. For some people, you know, like I had somebody specifically want to be known in the Southwest, also not a problem. But this is something that is unique to me and my team. Granted, I know a few people that we used to work together when we created the system that do this for other niches, but in financial planning, nobody does this. At the center of it all is an ad campaign, right? However, our ad campaign is different from your classic ad campaign. You're probably familiar with yourself, right? When you usually go and you see an ad and you click on it, it either takes you to a website or it takes you to some other sort of funnel or sales page, etc. Right? A lot of the time, people tend to lose curiosity because of that. Let's admit it, right? If you click on an ad, something sparked your interest, and you go on a website where you have to spend another 15 minutes trying to figure out how to find what you need, you're not really going to care anymore, right? So what we do is we use the ads to create traffic on your social media profiles, such as Instagram, such as LinkedIn, such as Facebook. We mostly do Meta and LinkedIn. However, I've created this system specifically to be able to adapt since everybody wants different things, right? So whatever it is that, whatever social media it is that you prefer using, we can also focus on that, right? So basically, that campaign is there to drag traffic onto your page. And on top of that, we do something with the ads called pixel tracking. Are you familiar with what a pixel is?
Yes.
Right. So what we use it for is to...
Proud of you, Alex. You're learning from your mistake.
Track the demographics, to collect data, and to collect contacts. Why we do that? We end up retargeting them, meaning that the person that interacted with your ad, let's say it's an ad for your model specifically, if they interacted with it, they will keep getting ads about that model for at least a year.
Right.
On top of that, this is the database pillar that I mentioned earlier. You have a large book of potentially interested people. Anybody who interacted with your ads in any way, maybe they went on your page, looked through it, didn't really do anything, and then they left. We target them. We target them with content, so they will see your posts, they will see your ads. We do email campaigns and we do SMS campaigns, meaning that we will, through the pixels, we collect their data, then we use that data. Now, something that is also unique to us is something called ISA qualification. Everybody says that they do qualified leads. Nobody really makes sure they're actually qualified. ISA qualification means that once we got in touch with people, say somebody clicked on an ad, liked a post of yours, right? Liked a post about your model.
Sorry. Yes.
No, it's all good. So let's say somebody clicked on an ad, went on your page, saw an informative post about your model, liked it. What we do, what my team does, is contact them and have a human conversation with them, ask them about what they do, what their needs are, etc., etc.
Right.
This basically means that whatever specifications you have for a client, like an ideal prospect, we make sure that all the specifications are matched before they ever get to talk to you. Which
That's
means
a very, very high level of qualification. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this way, one, they feel like they're interacting with you specifically. People love that.
Sure.
You know, on top of that, there's the personal touch, and we make sure that whatever you might need, we have that information. Like I've had cases when somebody is waiting for a will to be processed, and they're planning to invest it. Right. My team talked to the person, and the person said, "Oh, in 2 months it should be done." So in that case, we have a lead that my team recontacted 2 months ago, and we ended up closing. The planner I was working with ended up closing that client. So basically, we extract all the possible information from them. We only send them to you when everything matches, when everything's perfect, when everything's ready. This way, you rarely have. This means that you won't have 40 meetings a month, but when you do have a meeting, the closing rate is basically as high as the referral rate, which is quite rare, as you probably know yourself.
Yeah.
Closing rates for, so to call them, cold outreach, tends to be way lower.
Sure.
You know, even a 10% closing rate in those cases is considered good. With
Huge.
this, we get them close to referrals. 70, 80% closing, so you don't waste your time. Now, obviously, if we send people to your page, we keep the page alive, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn. So we take care, we do video posts, we do static posts, we keep your page looking professional. and so that the people that go to your page see a strong and competent brand. Now, this is made in a way to be adjusted to the person's needs. If you really don't feel like being, so to speak, the face of your model, we can figure something out. Like we can make the page about the model. That also works. That would be an interesting thing to do. But basically, we make sure that there's always
The way you just formulated it by saying that will be an interesting thing to do sounded like you have never fucking done it.
Yeah,
Either
yeah,
don't even mention it or only mention it once fucking asked.
Yeah, I heard it too now, but I was trying to. His last call was basically 30 minutes of him telling me about his model. I figured this would be like mentioning it many times would be a good way to sell. But yeah, I heard it now as well. My bad.
Okay. Guys, are you also gonna be on the call in 15 minutes? Tommy, Alex? I mean, Alex, you're still fucking driving, but Tommy?
I can't make the one in 15 now.
No, okay. I'm just asking because I wanted to know if I can continue this or not. Okay.
Could you send me the link, because I'm not registered for that one?
Yeah, that's fine. I can send it.
Consistent posting on your social media so that people feel competence, so that people enjoy being on your page. So this is basically a summary of what I've already just mentioned. So we create traffic through ads. We make sure that the traffic is exposed to good quality content. Then we interact with people through messages. Anybody that basically does anything, any sort of interaction with your ads or your page, maybe a like, maybe a comment, maybe even sometimes just visiting, we contact them. We speak to them on a personal level. And we reactivate. So those people that didn't, those people that changed their mind, those people that maybe lost curiosity, they will keep seeing the ads, they will get emails, they will get SMS. On top of a few posts a week to keep your page alive, we create daily stories, right? Now, this can be anything. This really depends on the person. This depends on your lifestyle, but these serve the purpose of showing that you are dedicated and a competent planner, so that you're somebody that can be trusted, to somebody who's active in the community. Usually, we tend to take care of most of these. When, for example, like the example here with the client testimonial, obviously this is something we would ask of you, but even there, we would give you a concrete plan, so there is no extra work that you need to put in yourself. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And this is qualification management. This is how it looks when we talk to people. Since we use Meta a lot of the time, or LinkedIn, we talk to everybody. We use labels. So for example, the labels I'm using often here is for a particular client. The prospect had to be bigger than 1 million AUM. So any prospect, that was his specification. Any prospect that was providing more than $1 million in assets, we would have the label on it. Makes it easier also for you, in case you just want to look how things are going. You can always have access to it, enter, and you already see how many people fit your specifications that we're talking to. You can even read your conversations. You can even participate if that's something that you find interesting. So before we move on to pricing, I would love to hear any concerns or any questions that you might have about the model. I would love to go through anything once more if it helps you understand better.
Have you been doing objection handling for an hour with him? Like more or less an hour?
Yeah, but I think it went well.
Okay.
Because basically,
yeah,
I just fucked up because he was almost surprised that the price was like he expected it to be way more expensive.
Yeah, well, because he got sold on an idea of paying 40K for bringing 40 million.
Yeah.
But that also, mathematically speaking, does not make sense.
No, but that is good for me, because then if Apex fucks up,
Yes and no, because like if someone is willing to spend more and you're gonna be too cheap, they're gonna immediately think that too cheap means it's not good enough. Yeah.
Well, I kind of tried to when I saw that he thinks it's too cheap, when he told me that he thought it's gonna be more expensive, I tried to play it off as basically like this is my starting point, because this is what the setup fee costs. However, trust me, when I make you more money, you're gonna want to pay me more as well. Something like this. Something in the terms of, don't worry, I'll make you money, and then I'm gonna upsell you. So something of that. Or I tried at least. But I ended up pretty good. Like he said that he has to talk to his wife, and they usually pray on decisions, apparently.
No, you're fucking retarded.
No, but I got them on both on the call tomorrow.
Not very optimistic, but okay.
I mean, why not? Because I don't know what else I could have done. Ishmael told me that that's like one of the best ways to handle that specific objection. To like get them.
Obviously, like I need to look at it. Like it's in the call, so I'm gonna look at it. So like there is a chance that there was actually no other way to overcome it.
Yeah, maybe I fucked it, but in that moment, that felt the safest. Because
Yeah,
it didn't
fair
seem
enough.
like she's. He mentioned specifically, he was like, "Yeah, she's not. Obviously, I'm in charge of the business, but we've been married for this and this long, so we just discuss these things. We pray on decisions, etc. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna be a bitch and be like, what's stopping you from starting, and then telling her and praying on it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyways, so I just join in 13 minutes.
Yes.
Okay,
Tommy,
cool.
any questions? Because like you said you're only gonna join in 30 minutes.
Well, join.
No, Alex, not you. I say fucking Tommy.
Sorry,
Tommy,
sorry.
Alex, you fuck off. I see you in 12 minutes.
Thanks.
No questions thus far. No.
Okay, cool.
So,
Then I see you tomorrow.
yes. I'm in
Cool.
4 calls tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, cool. Then I see you tomorrow. See you.